Food is more than just what's on our plate. It's the places where it's grown, it's the people who grow it, and so much more. Join me, Janice Person, your host, on Grounded by the Farm every other week as we talk about the foods we love. Hey everybody, this is Janice, and today I'm in Maplewood, Missouri. For people in St. Louis, we think of that as part of the St. Louis metro. It's a neighborhood that I get to a lot. And the place we're visiting, I've come here for lunch so many times. Friends and I have picked up meat and things over different times. It's Bolyard's Meats. It's right off of the historic Route 66. And we're talking to Chris Bolyard. Thank you so much for coming.
Thanks for having me.
This is pretty cool. So I'm going to confess to people, I'm like the nerdy girl that sits here at the window because you can look in and see the butchers working.
Yeah.
So I can be having like the best burger or the best like French dip or something like that and watching people cut meat. And it is a nerdy thing. I think my friends are all like, I need to do that.
Yeah.
How did you figure this place out?
So we've been in this space that we're in now for a little over 2 years, just shy of 2.5 years. And since we opened in 2014, a common theme has always been transparency.
Got it.
So even at the old shop, it was a third of the size of this shop. There was still a window that people could see into the cut room and see what we were doing. There's nothing to hide. We really it's the opposite. We want people to see exactly what's going on, kind of connect to the dots, and just have a stronger awareness of where their food's coming from. Right.
Right.
When we moved in the spring of 2021 into a much bigger space, we had the opportunity to build the space out ourselves. It was previously several restaurants, and so we more or less gutted it and designed it in the way that we wanted it to be. So that means it's a much larger cut room, more windows, and it's it's butted up right against the dining area. So there's actually counter seating that's right against the window. There's many vantage points to see what's going on. And for people like yourself who are very much interested in that, I think it's a fun experience to, be eating your sandwich and knowing that it started out as a four-legged animal in the other side of the window.
Well, so when I was here the last time, they were working on some meat that had been marinating for months.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they were packing it into the nice skins or the nice.
Yeah, they were natural casings. Yeah, they were making bresaola and another cured meat called basturma, which is like an Armenian dried beef, and they were taking eye rounds, which is a muscle in the hind leg that had been curing or marinating for several weeks. And then they were putting them in these natural casings, which are intestines of the animal, to dry.
Yeah, and so we had to taste it, and then I had to ask who owns this place, and then next thing I knew, I go, would you be on the podcast with me? Because I think it's so unique. I grew up in a neighborhood where my grocery store had real butchers, right? So I remember seeing like sides of meat come in and things like that. Mm-hmm. I think today that's not a common experience.
Right.
And so you're doing something really uncommon, and you guys go for the whole animal, right?
Yeah.
You're doing it all. So tell me how that all works.
So that is common here, and you're going to see that. That's the backbone of our business, is buying whole animals directly from the farm. We've got very great relationships with all the farms that we buy animals from. We've been to all these farms. We know a lot about their practices, their diet, how they, spend their lives, how they spend their last day at the slaughterhouse. All those things are very important to us for many reasons. I mean, it's out of respect for the animal, the way the animals are raised. It's respectful for the land, and how the animal spends its last day is very important too, in regards to the quality of the meat.
Right.
All the practices leading up to that have a lot to do with the quality of the meat, but all that can be ruined if the kill is done incorrectly. That's pretty much, the idea around Bolyards is, like, most of the meat comes in as a whole animal. We'll supplement depending on the time of the year, like the holidays when big rib roasts and tenderloins are in demand. we'll work with another farm that has similar practices that can supply us with a lot of those 2 particular cuts.
Right.
But outside of that, it's typically about 2 whole beeves a week, 3 hogs. We'll get a whole lamb, 60 or 70 chickens, and we just work with that.
Yeah.
So with that being said, we can offer a variety of cuts that you're never going to see in a grocery store,
Right.
which is a lot of fun for us because we get to turn people on to new cuts. There's just so much variety. It does take more time to butcher an animal that way. It's called scene butchery. So we are very familiar with the anatomy of the animal, so we understand how the muscles relate to one another, how how they're connected on the animal.
Bob was so good at showing me and explaining some of that.
Yeah,
it was awesome. We've got some video we'll share with everybody.
Yeah, it's it allows us to offer a lot more variety. So, if we're out of a particular cut, which happens every week because there's only so much of each cut on the animal, and there's particular cuts that become very popular. So, but we can always offer a comparable substitute, and it's fun to turn people on to new things that, maybe they've always been a ribeye person or a tenderloin person. It's like, well, those are great, but have you tried a bavette, or have you tried a flat iron? So there's that aspect of it. There's always been an education part of it too. I mean, educating the public on what kind of a place we are. I mean, not so much anymore. It used to happen a lot when we first opened. People would come in and they were kind of confused about how the place worked, right? Because they're used to seeing everything laid out and explained to them, and there isn't much like human interaction and like a grocery store, experience. But with us, it's polar opposite.
Every single choice is out on a case in a grocery store, and here Bob was breaking down things, but he only broke them down to a certain level because you'll make the final cuts later as people want things. So
it's to preserve the integrity of the meat and the freshness of it. It extends the shelf life. I mean, if we were to just take the entire animal as it came in, clean it up from beginning to end, and put all the cuts in the case, but at the end of the week they wouldn't look very nice. And so we do keep the case full of cuts, but then but
you don't have 5 cases to
fill
out.
It's one 8-foot long deli case. It's it's relatively small, but
it always gets my mind
full.
pumping when I'm in there, like going, ooh, maybe I need, what do I want? If you come in wanting something specific, that's very different. The case is there to encourage you.
And that ties into the other aspect of our business. Butchering whole animals, we are able to offer a large variety of things, but the other end of that is there's always going to be a lot of leftovers that need to be used from a cost standpoint, and also to respect the animal, that we do our best to not waste anything. That's when added value items come in. Like we have a pretty extensive charcuterie program. So that could include salamis, whole muscle cures, pâtés, terrines, things of that nature. And then we smoke a variety of meats like ham, bacon, pastrami. We make, almost every deli meat under the sun. And then, tons of fresh sausages. That's probably one of my favorite things to make next to charcuteries, because sausage is like a blank slate. It's like a vehicle for flavor. If you can imagine it.
I made a pasta sauce with sausage last night and was so happy with it.
Yeah, I mean, if you can, dream it up, you can put it into a sausage form.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun doing that. You take the weight of an animal and the percentage of like bone and fat and skin is relatively high. The yield is not great, so, we have to charge accordingly for various things. But so when it comes to like the bone and fat, we make a lot of stocks.
Yep.
We make a lot of broths, which is just a seasoned stock.
Yep. We
render a lot of fats, which are great to cook with, and they're chock full of, nutritional value because of the animal's diet and how it was raised. It's going to be a much healther fat.
That gets me to those tallow fries that I'm addicted to, right?
Yeah, that's what makes them so delicious, because it's fried in beef fat.
and you can get tallow in the case here too, right? Like you have a stand-up case for some of those kind of pieces, like the broths and stocks.
Right. So we have those are our provisions. That's the provisions aspect of our business. So there's rendered fats, there's stocks in there, and then we have a pretty extensive vegetable fermentation program. So we have several crocks that are always full of things like kimchi, sauerkraut. When pickling cucumbers are in season, we pickle a ton like crazy. Cauliflower, green beans, you name it. In addition to getting animals,
I saw them in the cooler.
yeah, it's a lot of fun. I've always been a big fan of fermenting anything. It's just I'm fascinated by the process. To me, it makes things taste better. It increases the nutritional value of them too. I mean, it allows you to absorb more of what it has to offer.
Yeah, it unlocks some of the nutrients. Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's a restaurant component. There's the butcher shop, which is really the central piece. Everything works around the butcher shop,
Correct.
I guess. Is that right?
That's the majority of our business.
How many butchers do you have?
So Bob Komanetsky, he manages our cut room. He's our lead butcher, and he manages everything that has to do with the cut room, which is tied to every aspect of the business. So we've got Bob, and there is 3 other butchers, so Faith, Micah, and Derek, and they're all full-time.
Okay.
So on Monday, we're only closed on Mondays, and Mondays it's Bob and another butcher, and they'll spend that time mostly breaking beef.
Yeah, that's what I was able to capture when David Price delivered them. Talked to him a little bit on the video, so that'll all be on the website. People have to check that out.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so we use that day to get ahead for the week because, as you saw, it takes a lot of time to take a side of beef and break it down into subprimals and then trim it further down into steaks and roasts and grind. It's a process. So they use that day to get ahead on that, and they'll also spend that time gathering ingredients for sausages, other house-made items. It kind of sets the production schedule for the week. And then that way, when we open for business Tuesday through Sunday, the meat is in a position where it's not going to take super long to get it to its final stage where it's case ready, or if someone comes in and they're asking for something specific, it's not going to take 25 minutes to get it for them.
Suddenly wanted to get a flat iron steak out of it or something. It takes a little while
to
do that.
15 or 20 minutes to get that out. So if we have those already out and untrimmed, so you
can get the size they want.
Takes
and everything.
Yeah, exactly. It just takes a few minutes to trim it up so it's ready to go.
Yeah. So you also do a little bit of catering. Is it your passion or somebody else?
Well, I mean, I would say it's probably my passion. So my background is in cooking. I've been doing that my whole life. I went to the Culinary Institute of America in Hyde Park.
I loved it. I lived in White Plains, and I used to go up there so often.
It's an amazing place. I look forward to going back there sometime and possibly doing a demonstration or just the tour of the campus, because I know it's changed a lot since I was there. I mean, it was 20-something years ago. So, I right out of high school, went to culinary school, and then moved back to St. Louis. And I've been cooking. That's all I've ever done is cook. So I was the chef de cuisine at Sydney Street Cafe for 10 and a half years. And that's kind of where butchering started for me. Early on in my time there, we started getting whole hogs from local farms. We kind of taught ourselves how to butcher. We didn't really know what we were doing. We taught ourselves how to make sausage, and then we started experimenting with preserving meats like charcuterie and everything that's under that giant umbrella. And so, that's it evolved into this butcher shop idea. My wife, and she has a restaurant background, and we just decided, this is what we're going to do. We're going to go for it. St. Louis needs something like this. Yeah. I think it'll work, and the rest is history. Fortunately, we're still here, and people are still coming and supporting us. The neighborhood is amazing that we're in. Maplewood is incredible.
It was one of the very few neighborhoods that I really checked out hard when I was moving to St. Louis, because there's such great food. People seem really friendly and accessible and things, and it's walkable. It's a really neat area.
Yeah, it has a lot to offer. So, what was it?
One of the things I would love to ask you, though, is now you're doing some classes. I understood, like, Bob was doing a class on Sunday when I came in on Monday. He had told me they'd done a class. So how did you start doing those? Because to me, that's something that really helps build the expertise of everybody in the community. It's part of that transparency, I guess.
Oh, yeah. It's we love doing the classes. We've been doing them. We've been doing the classes for many years now. I mean, I'd have to think about it. I'd say at least 3 or 4 years we've been doing those. We try to host them once a month. We've over the years kind of expanded our offerings in terms of the type of classes we're doing.
Yeah.
We have a beef class and a hog class, which are demonstration.
Yep.
And then we, this year, just started offering sausage making classes, and those are hands-on.
I may have to take one.
Yeah, they're great. So the reason we enjoy them so much is because the type of people that sign up for a class like that are obviously interested in what we're doing.
Right.
They're super engaged.
Right.
They're
probably great customers.
Some of them are. And then, surprisingly, some of them are not. Maybe it was a gift that was bought for them.
Yeah.
So that's helpful in kind of, spreading the word of mouth.
Yeah.
But they're always a lot of fun. Because people ask good questions. It's and we get to talk about what we love to do all day long. I mean, it's pretty easy for us to, run our mouths for 2.5 hours about what we're doing.
When you really love it, yeah.
Yeah, it's great. And, some people are there for different reasons. I mean, some people might be hunters and they're looking for
almost
a way
like
to...
techniques.
Yeah, exactly, to hone their skills if they're butchering a kill. Some people might be interested in it as a hobby at home.
Yeah.
And then some people are just curious and they have no intentions of ever cutting up a side of pork or beef, but they're there for the experience, and that's all right
to
too.
Learn, right?
Yep.
One of the things you mentioned that you guys are starting, and I guess it'll probably build after the holidays because you're pretty busy right now.
Mm-hmm.
But you're doing a little bit more of sort of bulk purchasing and things, and that's something I know since I talk to a lot of farmers. A lot of them sell a quarter or a half directly to people, and you have to have big freezers and all that kind of stuff. You're doing it on a large level like that, but also on a much smaller basis. How are you working it out?
So we started out offering bulk bundles of ground beef. So the way it works is the more you buy, the more you save. And we sell them in 10, 20, or 30-pound increments.
Okay.
And they're all freezer packed in 1-pound packs.
Yep.
So they're very accessible. It doesn't take very long at all to thaw out a pound of ground beef. And the way that they're packaged,
if you need 2 pounds, you put 2 pounds.
Yeah, and they're packaged in a way that they're very flat. They don't take up a lot of space, so you can fit 10 pounds of ground beef in a very small space in a freezer.
I saw them packing that. I hope I've got video of it because I saw them packing it one day, and I thought, what are they doing for a while? But then we finally figured out that's it.
That's how we do all of our ground beef. We sell it out of the case like that. That's how we sell them in our bulk bundles. And that's going over really well. And then we just started offering an actual beef bundle, which is a variety of things. And essentially what you're getting is like an eighth of a cow, if you want to look at it like that. What we did was we took a side of beef and we split that in fourths. So you're getting an eighth of an entire cow. And depending on the size of the side that we're cutting, you're going to get somewhere around 55 pounds of meat.
Okay.
And the cost is $12 a pound. Which sounds like a lot, but if you think about what you're getting, I mean, you're not saving a ton of money on the ground beef in that bundle because our ground beef is $12.50 a pound. But you're getting about 25 pounds of ground beef at $12 a pound, and then everything else you're getting for that same price. So strips, ribeyes, tenderloin.
Yeah.
And then the fun part about the bundles that we offer is the variety, right? So we spoke of earlier, we practice seam butchery, so we're able to offer a variety of cuts. So we have a section of the bundle that we call Butcher's Choice. And you're going to get 6 or 7 pounds of our choice of all these. And all this information's on our website, but there's quite a few different cuts that we'll choose from in that selection. So you'll get steaks, ground beef, braising cuts. You'll get soup bones. We render fat, and we give like about 4 or 5 pints of rendered tallow to you. We prepare stock that'll be included in the bundle, and you'll even get a little bit of beef liver, which surprisingly has become very popular over the years. We sell a lot of beef liver.
It's funny how meats do those fads almost where they become so popular and then they fade and stuff, and then a whole butchery.
Yeah.
You need to make use of all of it.
Yeah, and I think we've done pretty good at that. I think the thing with the liver is people have become more aware of how good it is for you. Yeah, how to make it taste good, and just like the nutritional value of it. I mean, the health benefits. I mean, it's probably one of the most nutrient dense foods on the planet. we haven't had a hard time in recent years finding an outlet for the beef liver, whether it's a dog treat or goes into a pate.
Yeah, I love the idea of doing boxes, and I mentioned to you my niece and nephew in Asheville, North Carolina, were getting boxes during COVID. He was a restaurant employee that was suddenly sent home, and the place he worked also had a whole animal butchery. So they occasionally got boxes, and they took it as a challenge to figure out new ways to cook, new cuts of meat. So it's a little more fun than just always doing the same meal planning.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I love my go-to items, but to do something neat and new, it's kind of a challenge. It may not be on Tuesday when you've had a really shitty day and just need to get people fed.
Yeah. I know what that's like.
But on other days, that's like the fun part of cooking.
There's so many different textures and flavors when it comes to beef and the steaks that are possible out of there, so it is fun to switch it up, I mean, I love beef just as much as the next person, but what makes it interesting to me is just the variety, and people always ask me, what's your favorite steak? It's always different. I don't know. I switch it up, I'll be stuck on a particular cut for a while and then I'll bounce around. It's a lot of fun to eat.
Yeah, it's funny because I asked Bob the same kinds of questions. What's your favorite cut? And he looked at me like, well, that's such a silly question, right? Like, how do you pick a favorite? Like, there's so many different things you could do. And then when I asked him what's like an overlooked cut of meat that most people don't know about, it was the same kind of thing. Like, oh, there's so many things you can do with every cut. And learning some of those things is really where it's kind of fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, did I miss something really important?
Well, the holidays are coming up. I mean, that's probably the most important time of the year for us as a business. If it wasn't for the holidays, it would be very difficult to make this whole this whole circus work.
Really cutting things down to the first of the year, right? Like a lot of people's household budgets, they tighten up really quickly. So what do the holidays look like?
Yeah, I think that's partly due because people are splurging during the holidays. Exactly. They're celebrating. They're spending time with family. They're not as tied to their budget. They're buying big centerpieces for their holiday gatherings. So what that looks like for us is it starts off with Thanksgiving. It's just kind of a whirlwind. I mean, we blink and it's over. So our busiest time is from Thanksgiving all the way through like the first week of January. It stays pretty busy through New Year's. So we work with Buttonwood Farms out of California, Missouri, and we get all of our poultry and eggs from them.
Okay.
So what Matt Tiefenbrunn, he raises the turkeys as chicks, and he starts, I mean, they're on the ground now. I mean, he starts, I think, sometime in July or early August.
Yeah, get those poults in.
And it's usually about a 16-week process, if I'm not mistaken. And he'll raise several thousand, and that's basically what he raises for the year. So for about a month, maybe it's more like a 3-week period during November, all the turkeys are fresh, right? And and the turkey that you buy for your Thanksgiving dinner is going to be fresh.
Yeah. And
then what he does afterwards is they will process the remainder of them that didn't sell fresh, and he'll freeze X amount of whole turkeys, X amount of breasts, parts, and things like that. And ideally that's supposed to last the whole year.
Yeah.
It doesn't always. So, like, for example, we're his biggest customer in terms of whole turkeys and turkey breasts.
Right.
And he just ran out of turkey breast a couple of weeks ago. So we don't have any turkey until Thanksgiving.
So he's happy to be harvesting soon.
Yeah. So it works out. If we don't have a turkey sandwich or turkey breast out of the case for a month, it's okay. Because we know that we've got fresh ones coming right around the corner. So Thanksgiving's big for us. We sell a dry brine kit.
Okay.
And it's already measured out for you, so it's really easy to apply.
Yep.
And I found that makes a huge difference with turkey. Turkey is very lean. It's very easy to dry out. So we sell brine kits with the turkeys, and there's a range of sizes, depending on the size you're gathering. In addition to that, we offer a lot of provisions. So we make amazing buttermilk and lard biscuits, and you can buy those frozen.
I keep hearing about the brunch, and I haven't made it yet, and I kick myself every time I think, like, oh, this weekend I can't go. And
no, we're here. We're here every weekend doing it.
Dude, looking at the Instagram or Facebook and stuff for those brunch photos, y'all slay the biscuits.
Yeah,
nobody's ever had a ho-hum experience.
Yeah, that's I think the secret is we use lard as the only fat in there, and we use a whole fat buttermilk from one of our farms, and it just makes for a delicious biscuit. So you can buy those frozen and bake them from frozen for the holidays, and then we offer a variety of different provisions, like a few different sides. We're doing stuffing and I think green bean casserole this year. We offer quarts of giblet gravy, stock. And then moving into Christmas time, everybody's kind of focused on big roasts. So we sell a lot of standing rib roasts, a lot of tenderloin roasts. Yeah. We sell a variety of other things too, but those are our two main sellers. And all of this stuff you can purchase off our website. For the most part, we try to make it a pretty streamlined process. It gets a little, every year we do a little bit more, and we always learn from our mistakes. Sometimes it can be, you want to pull your hair out because it's just hard to manage a lot of these things, which is a great problem to have.
Yeah.
But I think we get a little bit better at dialing it in every year and try to make it as smooth as possible. It's always going to be a mad rush, though. I mean, I think it's kind of hard to avoid a line. And we thought to ourselves, well, this is crazy. Like, is this how it is everywhere? And it kind of is. I mean, I think people expect to wait a little bit if they're picking up their turkey or their holiday roast from a butcher shop or a grocery store. I mean, there's going to be a little bit of a wait.
If you come in and there's nobody else here, long term, it's a bad sign for the business.
That's sad for everybody involved.
You have to be willing to stand in line for a little bit.
And I think it's worth the wait. The meat that we offer, I think, is exceptional.
Every cut I've ever had,
very proud of it.
I've never heard anybody have a ho hum word about what comes out of here, as long as the cook treats it well.
Yeah, there's a lot of variables.
If it's a problem with the cooking,
but that's also that's up to us too, to educate people to the best of our ability, set them up for success. So whether that means
what to do with
trimming something properly, so you shouldn't have to take anything home and further trim it. Like we will cut you the piece to your specifications.
Okay.
So you shouldn't have to do anything further to it. And if you need any cooking advice, we're always happy to offer that. That's kind of part of the experience. I mean, with the variety that we offer, there's a lot of unknowns and, new things for people to try. So it's up to us to educate people and set them up for success when they take that meat home.
I love it. Well, I'm going to remind people with, it's BolyardMeats.com.
Yeah, BollyardsMeat.com.
And then your Instagram is great. There's some neat things. I don't know, is it Faith or somebody in the shop that does that? Do you
Faith has recently taken more responsibility on it, But it's myself and Faith right now. Yeah, basically the two of us, we kind of take charge of that.
I love it. Well, we'll make sure we direct people to that. And I love that we talked about the holiday foods and things, because I've talked to a cranberry farmer in the past and a turkey farmer and some of those. So I'll make sure people know how to get back to those too if they're interested.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks so much, Chris.
Thanks, Janice. I appreciate it.